Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment. This is without a doubt one of the most anticipated attractions to be built in quite a while. This was Universal's answer to the criticism they've received regarding their attractions. Too many screens, too many 3D glasses. Well, now Universal has finally created a mostly entirely practical attraction to achieve an unprecedented level of immersion. And here we are now, finally experiencing a Universal Monsters themed dark ride brought to life. We were actually lucky enough to get the chance to experience this attraction for the first time fairly recently and get plenty of rides in, so let's dive into everything about Monsters Unchained. And there are lots of spoilers ahead, so if you want to remain spoiler free, you want nothing to do with those, then I highly recommend you watch this after your visit to Epic Universe. If you're fine with that, or you've done the attraction, then join me along, as this is going to be a very honest review. I'm not going to be holding back here. You know, I don't write many reviews actually, but I really wanted to cover the headlining attractions of Epic Universe because they are so ambitious, and it really is such a big deal in the theme park industry that this park even exists. So there will be a video coming out about Battle at the Ministry later on. But let's dive right back in. This attraction alone is here to change the game. We have a modernized version of a ride system that really hasn't been altered since 2010. And we probably have the highest number of animated figures in a single attraction that isn't the Hall of Presidents. This is one of the most ambitious attractions ever created, with the only real comparison being Forbidden Journey for the ride system at Universal Parks, but to Disney, you could compare this to Rise of the Resistance, which is arguably the most immersive ride that exists right now. So let's start off with the queue experience. From the moment you walk up to Frankenstein Manor, you know you're about to experience something truly life-changing. The facade is one of the coolest you'll ever see. It's eerie, dark, and it evokes a feeling that another attraction can't really replicate. As you step inside the manor, you enter the massive loft, which is absolutely gorgeous. The painting at the top featuring Henry Frankenstein, a great centerpiece. And as you dive deeper into the halls, the lighting effects with the flashing words, "Who is the true monster?" You hear from what it sounds like creatures just whooshing past you in line. It's very, very realistic. The rooms in this are just incredible. The great mural on top in that fireplace room, and then you dive deeper to find the original Frankenstein skeleton and other odd creatures within the queue. It all really adds on to that immersive experience. It's a great opener for when you walk in. It's funny because the queue makes this ride seem that this is going to be a truly terrifying experience. When you're walking up the stairs, the glowing eyes painted on the spirits, and then you enter the room with the found footage tapes featuring different Universal monsters. It's so cool, like it's such a neat concept that they went with a more found footage style to showcase the Universal monsters at first. It's cool for one because we're seeing these 1930 creatures in a 2020 world, so we're seeing them all in high definition and popping colors. It's so neat to see. You then see the first mini portal, and that's when the electric wires that connect throughout the manor create an atmosphere that is just nothing short of stunning. You'll slowly follow all of these till you get to the station. Universal did not miss a single detail at all on this. They really went all in, and they made this ride seem terrifying. At this point, I'm in the queue. I was starting to wonder, what am I getting myself into? Is this the modern day extraterrestrial alien encounter? Because this is about to be something. If I had any complaints, it would just be that some of the hallways feel too long with nothing in them. At least that first hallway, it's just very long. Honestly, with a lot of the sound effects that happen in there, it's very acceptable. It has a very similar feel actually to Forbidden Journey at the beginning. You know, you just walk through long tunnels of nothing, but as you progress, the theming becomes richer and richer. Surprisingly, the queue though is much smaller than Forbidden Journey, which is unexpected since the ride is likely to be extremely popular for a long time. That extended queue will likely be used very often, but the level of detail in the indoor portion is very, very impressive. You then enter the first pre-show room, which is just fantastic. I love the library, and the way they showcase how the Kuka arm is going to work was brilliant. It was a genius move for them to acknowledge the ride system as part of the attraction. The model is great, though it makes the ride look way more intense than it actually is. I think it's a great touch. The fluid motion of the model, along with Igor's narration and demonstration, it just sets up the ride perfectly. When Victoria Frankenstein says send them in and Igor adds that eerie touch, the excitement just reaches another level. The storytelling in these pre-shows are flawless. When the hidden bookshelf opens as the door, it's such a simple yet effective effect. And then seeing Victoria Frankenstein for the first time, her animatronic is incredibly well done. Fluid and realistic. However, I'm not a fan of the use of a projected face. I assume programming a sequence of her facial movements with that audio, it would be very difficult and expensive since it is such a long and extended scene. But in this lighting, the projected face actually looks fairly good. You can definitely tell it's not an actual face, but out of the projected faces animatronics I've seen, this is definitely the best looking one. But that was really my only complaint with that pre-show, because other than that, it was excellent. When Frankenstein is revealed and he steps out, it's one of the coolest things you'll ever see. He's a 9-foot monster walking towards you. Absolutely massive and impressive. The story is clearly established at this point. Victoria Frankenstein is conducting a massive experiment to contain Dracula. Igor is controlling the experiment, and this is meant to cement Frankenstein's legacy. It's simple and effective. The moment Dracula invades the frequency and his spirit starts appearing on the screens, it's terrifying. The strong bass that fills the room, the creepy projections, the visuals are incredibly well executed. But when we enter that next room featuring Dracula's empty coffin, a mummy tomb, a cage for the Wolfman, a cracked photo resembling the Phantom, like a tribute to all the Universal monsters in just one small footprint. Such a beautiful centerpiece. And then approaching that station, seeing the massive power generator, strobing lights, the massive turntable, everything builds anticipation. I prefer the look of this setup way over Forbidden Journey. Seeing all the ride vehicles lined up, knowing what's about to happen is exhilarating. Strapping in, you immediately notice the differences from the other Kuka Arm attraction. You're not enclosed in a box. It feels more like riding a regular roller coaster with show elements. The restraint comes down, speakers are positioned on your sides, but above and below you, you are completely open. This is an amazing design choice, but it does make certain ride mechanics more obvious. For instance, throughout the ride, and this is probably my biggest complaint with the ride itself, you can see that track below you and you can see other cars ahead of you and behind you. Forbidden Journey does a much better job of hiding these elements. Don't get me wrong, you still can see it, but you have to tilt your head out far and work to see those effects. On Monsters, you really don't have to. However, this new design does allow though for a more personal experience. It doesn't feel like you're forced to look at one certain thing. You have a lot more around you that you can look at. So this queue experience has been absolutely incredible. It is nothing short of amazing with very few complaints. But now, it's time to get to the point we are all looking forward to, and that's the ride itself. So the ride begins with Igor controlling the model in his control room. When he jerks the controller, your vehicle jerks forward, reinforcing that he's truly in control. Such a cool feature. It gives you the unsettling feeling that a crazed scientist has complete power over you. And then from here, the adventure truly begins. Then you enter the catacombs. And I love how the first monster you encounter isn't a traditional one or one you expect. Instead, it immediately puts you on edge. It's a massive swinging bell. You lean on your back and look at that. It's the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Even though it's a static figure, using the Hunchback as the opener for the ride, it's amazing. I loved it. The trend continues as you enter a massive scene, with all the monsters' names displayed on a wall, signaling that you're about to enter the Dracula experiment. And I love this little touch. But seeing the Phantom playing the organ, flames shooting out as he presses the keys, and then suddenly reaching out to grab you, perfection. Without a doubt, one of the coolest scenes on the ride. Within the first 20 seconds on this ride, I am mind blown. And I love that the first two monsters you encounter, they're not traditional ones. It's not Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Mummy. It's Hunchback of Notre Dame and Phantom of the Opera. That's amazing. You really feel like you're about to experience all the Universal monsters at last. Then we meet back up with Victoria Frankenstein, who warns us to prepare for the Dracula experiment. As we enter the portal, and this is another fantastic scene, the detail on the animatronic is incredible. You see the coil bouncing and the electric pulse follows you into the portal. It's a very cool touch. Then when Frankenstein grabs the two coils, your entire ride vehicle shakes from the shock as he absorbs all that energy. And this animatronic moves so quickly and fluent. In the blink of an eye, he transitions from touching the coils to being fully electrocuted in such a realistic way. Meanwhile, it's a 9-foot massive animatronic. I have no idea how Universal managed to manufacture so many of these figures. It's easily one of the coolest things you'll see. Then we finally go face to face with Dracula. This is so cool. Every Dracula animatronic on this ride is my favorite. I love how they made him look human, but still gave him a redesign where he feels like a true creature of the night. He's undeniably a vampire, but his shape is distinctly human. If Dracula were real, I think this is exactly how he would look like. This is one of my favorite scenes on the ride because when he uses his powers against you, you feel a blast of heat from the portal, and then when he exerts his power, your ride vehicle jerks violently. And then right after this, you enter arguably the most unfortunate scene. It features large chains, but it's painfully obvious that there is a massive black curtain. This is the only part where I was like, we're here for too long. It completely breaks immersion because you can tell it's just a backdrop. This is the only thing I will say that separates it from attractions like Rise of the Resistance, where never once I feel like I'm not immersed. But in this part of Monsters, I was very aware that I was on an attraction. That's my biggest complaint. It's really just this one scene. It definitely gets better as time goes on, but this is the only moment on the ride I just wish was done a little better. But the ride quickly redeems itself, because then Dracula releases his brides and all of these terrifying killer female vampires are set loose. Yes, there are a lot of screens in this section, but I think they're executed well. This scene does need some sort of screens, and Universal did a good job incorporating real animatronics when the coffin opens, mixing practical effects with digital ones. Watching Frankenstein get attacked by these creatures, and then seeing Victoria Frankenstein come to the rescue, is the first major things are starting to go wrong moment. And I love it, it's executed perfectly. Then right after this, you get the jump scare from the creature from the Black Lagoon. Your vehicle jerks forward as he springs out of the water reaching for you. I was so hyped every second of it. He's my favorite monster, my favorite one growing up, and this was easily one of the best jump scare moments in the ride. So when I saw him come for the first time, I started cheering as loud as I could. I was so happy. And then following that, you go face to face with a stunning Wolfman animatronic. This figure is incredible, so realistic, so well done. I couldn't get enough of this scene. I also love how you then follow the Wolfman as he chases you, howling at the moon. The ride vehicle shakes at different points, making it feel like he's trying to grab you. And then he finally does swing at you at the very end. It's sick. It's definitely one of the scariest scenes on the ride. Then you enter the mummy's tomb. I love the coffin effect, which uses projection mapping to open up and reveal a mummy inside. It's such a great blend of practical effects and digital illusion. Following the mummy throughout his tomb, fantastic. Especially when you fall onto your back and you just see him reaching for you as he swings out. So cool. Again, the fluid motion of this animatronic, it's insane. The only thing is that the mummy is the one monster that looked a little too cartoonish. I appreciate the new approach, but I was kind of hoping more for the Revenge of the Mummy kind of mummy, but still, it's a solid design. It looks great. Now, as we near the finale, Victoria Frankenstein is trying to regain control. You face Dracula once more. Again, this animatronic is incredible. And right when it seems like he's about to kill us, Frankenstein reflects the light, creating total chaos and saving us. Dracula then follows us on the screen, and then in a breathtaking transition, the animatronic plummet towards you, before being pushed back by the force. The finale line from Victoria Frankenstein, all monsters will bow down to the name Frankenstein. Oh, it's so good. And then Igor tells us the ride is over and gets hilariously destroyed by bats. And then we return to the station and exit the manor. Alright, we have a lot to dive into with this, so let's just start with the pros. This is one of the most beautifully crafted attractions ever. The sheer number of animatronics adds an unmatched level of realism. Not a single ounce of detail is wasted. The story is told exceptionally well, at least at the start. The ride does a great job of making you feel like Victoria Frankenstein is orchestrating this experiment. However, my biggest complaint is that the story gets hard to follow once Dracula takes control. After Igor announces that all the monsters have escaped, everything transitions so rapidly, it's difficult to understand what's happening, and then the ride ends. The finale is climactic. Dracula attacks, Frankenstein saves us, Victoria delivers an insane final line, but we don't really get to see the aftermath. I wish there was one more scene showing Dracula being captured or Frankenstein surviving, especially on my first ride. I remember thinking, that's it? In terms of the ride mechanics, the violent jerks are fantastic, especially when Dracula uses his power and when the creature attacks. I also noticed that if you sit on the right side of the ride vehicle, the leftmost seat when you board, the experience is way more intense. The Dracula animatronic steals the show. Universal did an incredible job making him look like he's floating, and his fluid movements are breathtaking. Frankenstein animatronics are also massive and impressively lifelike. Every animated figure on here is phenomenal. As for cons, the biggest issue's got to be reliability. Many animatronics are very necessary for the story to work, and unfortunately, I've had rides where a good portion of them weren't functioning. I have not had a perfect ride through on Monsters. And I've had some great rides where a couple of the non-key animatronics weren't working, which is completely acceptable. But as we near opening, for the whole experience to truly be a captivating one-of-a-kind ride, you need all of those animated figures to work. And the fact it's been a couple months and it's still rare to get that experience, that is definitely something they need to work on. But other than that, Monstere Unchained is one of the greatest attractions ever created. It's thrilling, it's intense, it's beautifully immersive, it's destined to be a fan favorite. Personally, I did really enjoy the ride. It's not my personal favorite in the park. I thought they could have done a little more with it. I feel like the hype was a little too high for this attraction, but it still is nothing short of incredible. I did love it. It is one of my favorite rides ever made. The fact we finally have a dark ride themed after these classic monsters. This is long overdue. It is so nice to finally see it all come to life, and it is done in the best way it could be done. It is such a great tribute to the monsters. It's such a great tribute to Universal as a whole. It's just a great attraction. So if you're ever visiting Epic Universe, make sure you ride Monstere Unchained. It's a must visit attraction. And if you like this video and want to see more like it, I recently ranked all of the attractions in Epic Universe, so make sure you check that video out. And don't forget to subscribe, as that's the best way to help us out here at Theme Park Hunting. Like I said, we're going to have a review coming out at Battle at the Ministry, and we're going to have a very detailed park review coming soon. You're not going to want to miss out on that, so make sure you subscribe and turn on those post notifications and like this video. It's a great way to support us here. And with that, this is Hunter from Theme Park Hunting, and I will see you all later.